Hello friends, this video on Anatomy of Flowering Plants Part 11 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now we will spend some time understanding stomata. What is stomata? What is the structure of stomata? How does stomata function? So we will be spending some considerable number of slides discussing stomata. Right? Okay. So what is stomata? Very basic question. Now, I'm sure that it is not none of you are hearing the term stomata for the first time. We have been studying this since our junior classes, that stomata are the minute pores present on the surface of leaves, which is often not visible to naked eye. We just cannot see the small pores of the leaves, but we all know that they are there. Because had they not been there, there would have been no exchange of gases through the leaves. There would have been no photosynthesis at all. So these are the pores present on the surface of leaves. So in any plant, photosynthesis is something without which the plant just cannot do. Because that is the process by which food is prepared. And for where does photosynthesis happen? It happens in the leaves. So on the surface of the leaves, if you observe it very minutely with the help of a microscope, you'll actually see that on the surface of this leaf, you see structures like this, pores like this. And these pores are nothing but stomata. So just imagine, this is a leaf which we normally see, but when you see it under microscope, you will actually see this hole, right? So what is the purpose of stomata? They regulate the exchange of gases and water vapor between external air and interior of the leaf. So they basically act as windows. Like in our house, when we feel that, okay, inside it is too hot, what do? We open the windows so that, okay, let some cool air come inside, right? So exchange of air happens. Now again, suppose suddenly when it starts raining outside, you quickly close your windows so that the water does not get into your house. Correct? So these stomata are also like the windows of your house. They open and close, and that's how they regulate the exchange of gases. They regulate means they take in appropriate amount of gases, they give out appropriate amount of gases. So they maintain the balance of gases and water vapor between external environment and the inside of the leaf. So just imagine how important stomata is. They also regulate the process of transpiration. We all know what is transpiration, right? The process by which the plant loses water vapor. So it regulates that, because if too much of water is lost, again the plant will end up dying. So it does not allow too much of water loss. So that's how it regulates the process of transpiration. Right? Okay. So now let us look at the structure of the stomatal apparatus. So what is a stomata? It is not just a minute hole. So when you look at that minute hole even in much more detail, you actually end up seeing that even inside that minute hole, you actually have a set of structure. There is a specific structure with the help of which everything happens, or the entire functioning of the stomata is controlled. Okay, so let us understand the structure. The pore, or the hole which we are seeing here, that is surrounded by a pair of kidney-shaped cells known as guard cells. So here you can see two kidney-shaped cells, this and this. So they both are the guard cells, right? And in between, this is the stomatal pore. So basically these two guard cells control the opening and the closing of the stomata. So when they move, they make their movement in such a way that the hole increases. Again, sometimes they come so close to each other that the hole decreases. So basically the guard cells control the opening and the closing of the stomata. Now how do they do that? That also we will discuss very soon. Outer thin walls, inner thick walls. Now one speciality of the guard cells is that the outer wall, that is this wall, this is the outer wall, and the outer wall is thin, but the inner wall, that is this wall, this and this wall is thick, and you will see the implication of this. But this is very, very important. Because of this difference in thickness of the outer and inner walls, the entire phenomenon of opening and closing of stomata take place. We will see that very soon. This controls the opening and closing of stomata, as I said. Now, how that happens, we will discuss. So, few more points to note here is that, as I said just now, the pore is surrounded by kidney-shaped cells, that is the guard cells. Now, not always these cells are kidney-shaped. For example, in grasses, when you talk about grass, these cells are not kidney-shaped. Instead, they are dumbbell shaped. So, something of this shape. So again, when we talk about the presence of stomata in case of a leaf, now in a leaf, there are two layers of epidermis. So when you look at the internal structure of a leaf, you will actually see that there are two layers of epidermis, one on the upper surface and the other at the lower surface. So this is how it is. Now the upper layer of epidermis is known as adaxial. This surface is called adaxial surface, and this is called abaxial. Baxial is related to base. So the lower layer of epidermis is known as abaxial surface, and the upper layer of epidermis is known as adaxial surface. Now it is generally seen that the number of stomata is more on the lower layer than on the upper layer. So what is stomata? Stomata are nothing but some pores here. So the number of stomata in the lower surface is more than that on the upper surface. Generally, that is what happens generally, right? Whereas in the case of aquatic plants, it is just the vice versa. In case of aquatic plants, the number of stomata is more on the upper layer than on the lower layer. Right? So this was some of the information about the stomata. Now again, one more thing, when we say stomatal apparatus. So what is stomatal apparatus? Stomatal apparatus include the stomatal pore plus the guard cells. So everything all together, the entire package together is known as the stomatal apparatus. Not only the pore and the guard cells, but also the outer tissue. This here you also see a cell, right? Even outside the guard cell, outside the cell, these cells are known as subsidiary cells. This one, this light green colored structure, which is just outside the guard cells. Right? And outside this, these cells are nothing but the epidermal cells. So these entire set of things together form the stomatal apparatus. Right? Generally, when we say stomata, we think we are talking about the stomatal pore. But when you want to be a little more precise, you should actually say stomatal pore surrounded by guard cells, which in turn is surrounded by the subsidiary cells, and this entire package is termed as stomatal apparatus. Right? So now in the next slide, we will see what is the mechanism that causes opening and closing of stomata. So now we understood that it is because of the movement of the guard cells. Now what is it that causes the movement of the guard cells? That is our focus in the next slide. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.